Hey everybody, I'm really excited to bring this video to you today. This is sponsored by USG. We're going to be using +3 Sheetrock joint compound. I'm going to go over how we mix our mud for screws, boxing, ankles, just kind of general mud use and how to get that super smooth, creamy finish and texture that we're looking for with the mud. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, we're using +3 Sheetrock Brand joint compound. And we have boxes here, buckets, same thing, pretty same consistency. It'll just come in a bucket instead of a box. Boxes are what we have here, so that's what's super common. So when you're opening the box, go ahead, slide the top of the plastic bag here, put it over your sides, and then here is our mud. This is just straight out of the box right here. So we're gonna go ahead and just tip it in. Our 5-gallon bucket. Take the sides, take the plastic off. Now you can fold in the sides of your box. And then if you want, you can take your bag, put it back in, and then you actually have a trash box for your waste and trash and small items on the drop site if you want to save it. So we go ahead, we put our box in there. I'm going to take my, we call these beater bars or whips. This one's just square, super common, really easy to find everywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and just break my mud up. Give it a little bit, so it's not just spinning there like a block. And then I have nice, fresh, clean water and a brush. So I'm gonna go ahead and brush down my sides. And I'll show you what this looks like straight out of the box. I am using a Makita variable speed drill. Variable is really important when you're mixing. That way you're not just being like woof and like one speed. You can add some water, gently feather it in. Another thing that's important when you're mixing, make sure it's away from your body. So when I'm mixing, I don't have it tucked in tight. I have it pushed away from my body. The cord is over here. It's not going to get tangled in with the beater bar, and everything's kind of put aside. And then I'm going to hold the bucket with my feet. So down here I have my feet and they're squeezing the bucket. To remember when you're mixing is don't let the beater bar or your whip hit the sides of the bucket. If it's constantly hitting up against the sides of the bucket, you'll get off like little pieces of plastic that'll get mixed into your mud, and then you'll have trash and you'll be like, where are all these like little white or orange flecks in there? So make sure when you're mixing, you're keeping it in the center of the bucket and you're not like hitting the sides and breaking off pieces of plastic. So this is straight out of the box, just with a little bit of that water in there. And it's thick. Like, if you're having problems with spreading your mud, you're having problems with getting a nice creamy consistency, you're having issues just with your finishing, it's too thick. We don't use it this thick. It's hard to spread. You can for certain applications, like if I'm doing metal quarter bead, I'll run it real thick like this, but other than that, it's gonna get thinned down. So, we check. You can go ahead and use our brush, add in some water, or you can also just pick up your bucket, add a little bit in. I'm gonna go to about what we have it for top consistency for running like the 10-inch box. That should be pretty good. If you put too much water in, pick up the bucket, dump it out. So again, holding the bucket with my feet, everything's out of the way, drills away from my body. Alright, so this should be quite a bit thinner. Again, you can check with your, oh yeah, that's like perfect. That's pretty good. Maybe a little on the thin side for the 10, but we're still pretty good. That's going to be really nice top mud. You can also take your knife, give it a little look, see how it's flowing. It's smooth, it's creamy. I'm not going to be fighting this. And that's the biggest thing that you learn when you use more and more mud. You don't want to be fighting your mud. If you're constantly having to push it hard, it's not spreading, it's not going to be very fun to work with. And these muds are all made to take water. They're made to be thinner, and they're made to take, you know, some water to get it to the consistency that you're looking for. Now, what they're not designed to take is soap or any sort of additives that you are doing that are off market to these muds. They're formulated very precisely. They go through a lot of testing. They're formulated by scientists, and they're made for certain consistency, drying time, sanability, hardness, and strength. Let's go ahead and get it a little bit thinner. Usually we would have a piece of sheetrock under here to contain some water. So now we're gonna go to like a skim consistency. So you gotta remember with the skim, we are just pretty much polishing everything up. We shouldn't be putting on super crazy amounts of heavy mud. We're running like a 12 or 14-inch box. We're doing our second coat on our metal and our screws. So we can go a little bit thinner with this mud. So same thing again. Go ahead and check it. And that's great. That would be a really nice skim mud. It's good for running in the bigger boxes. It's really nice for doing screws, corner bead, all of those applications. And this is like a really nice spreadable mud. So we'll go ahead, mix up our angle box mud here. And you know, you can tell too with the variable drill how important that is. It's not gonna get your mud going all crazy. And now we'll check. And that right there is a perfect angle box mud. It's not going to be crazy hard to push. It's going to leave a nice coat in your angles. You're not going to be fighting it. You're not going to be pushing too hard. And that's just kind of a great tidy up mud too. When you're on that last stage of smooth wall, you're just fixing imperfections. So thinner is better. You're not wanting to build anything up anymore. You're just wanting to polish. So this is great right there. Say you go too thin, you can always open up a box and then you can put more mud into this. So this is just one box, and as you can tell, I have plenty of space in there. So if I need to, I can open up another box. You can kind of break off half of a box, put it in there, thicken your mud up. It's always best to add little bits of water at a time when you're still getting used to your consistencies. So as you can tell, we have the brush. The brush is really nice for just slowly adding in water, mixing, checking your consistencies. I always have my 6 on me so I can put it in the bucket, kind of feel the mud, see how it's working. Worst case, you go too thick, stop, add some more water. Another thing to note about these, don't let these buckets freeze, and don't let your mud freeze. It needs to be kept at above freezing temperatures. And also it can go bad after a certain amount of time, so especially when it's really hot during the summer. We always tap these with water. So let's say I'm done using this for the day. I'm gonna go ahead and take my brush. I'm gonna wash down my bucket. And then I'm going to take it and leave a thin amount of water on it. So I go about there. This can stay in the bucket, it's not gonna hurt anything. And now my mud is protected, and that mud on top isn't gonna get all nasty and cakey. When I come back the next day, dump the water off, re-spin it, and I'm ready to go. You can also, take out your beater bar, top it with a hawk. Sometimes we use the plastic bags, put those over the top of them. There's a couple different ways to store it, but it's not gonna be hurt sitting for a couple days. Just make sure you have something over the top of it. Now, if it's really hot, you have a lot of evaporation going on, it's really muggy, this can go bad. It will start to smell like sulfur. At that point, toss it, get rid of it, throw the bucket away, clean up the mud. Don't be using that product. So right now it doesn't smell like anything. When it starts to have like a sulfury, eggy smell and it turns a little brown, don't use that mud anymore. So again, big thanks to USG. We're using Sheetrock +3 joint compound. This is our favorite go-to, available nationwide, all the hardware stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, Drywall supply stores, Sherwin-Williams, all those places carry this. It's definitely the most common and easy to work with mud. I hope that helps you guys, and see you next time.